So basically, in my fight with Arrow, I had to come down to me weight from the fight with Triple G. So basically, Kell Brook said that he can hurt Terrence Bud Crawford if they fight next, and we gonna talk about that. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We work it. Now, this is a phenomenal month. Shout out to everybody who's been holding the fort down. People sending Cash Apps, and, I appreciate it. We just working, closing the year strong. I got a lot of stuff. I'm a one-man band, one-man army. Antonio Banderas and Desperado. I'm El Mariachi. So, we just going to keep pushing forward. Now, Kell Brook did an interview with Max Kellerman, and he was asked about what makes him right for Terrence Crawford, and he was saying basically that it's a good fight. He feels he's ready. He has experience, with the Arrow situation. He did talk about the Golovkin fight and the struggles he's saying coming back from middleweight down to fight Errol at 147. But this is what he says verbatim. I think because I've been in with Spence and everybody's talking about Spence and Crawford now, the fight makes sense. It's the perfect fight. I'm a free agent. I'm ready to rock and roll, and I'm in great shape. And it's a fantastic fight for the fans, right? Max Kellerman said, Kell, to me, you're like from the files, no good deed goes unpunished. You're undefeated, you're a big welterweight, and then you take on Sean Porter. At the time, he was very hot. I thought you decisively won that fight. If you beat him, and you beat him by the skin of your teeth, but I thought at the end of the fight, yep, Kell Brook won that fight. This is Max Kellerman talking. He said you got the win, then you moved up 2 divisions to fight Golovkin, right? So he was talking about the Golovkin situation. Kell Brook continues to say that, he worked too hard to get where he was at and to get the big fights. He had a fight with Devin Alexander that was lined up that never actually happened. It fell apart, I believe, 3 times at the time. So he was like, man, I just worked too hard. So, I wanted it all to smoke. He says as he's gotten older, he's basically, he's not a spring chicken. So he's taking care of his body different. And he says that he's given himself time to rest. He's been younger. He's training different, and also doing the R&R, things like that. Kell Brook, he wants to show people he's better than Terrence Crawford, and he also feels he can hurt a guy like Terrence Crawford. He says, listen, boxing, Max. Look at what Tyson Fury did. Everybody wrote him off. We've seen this time and time again from boxing, and don't get me wrong. Right? Goes on to say, Terrence Crawford, he's a hell of a fighter. He deserves to be top 3 pound for pound, but I know my ability and I know what I can do. As I said, I would fight Terrence Crawford in his own backyard. Inside that square circle is home for me. It doesn't matter where the fight is. I've got the self-belief. I'm strong. I'm very strong, and I know what I could do in there. He boxed a guy, Ricky Burns from England, that he couldn't stop. He's obviously grown and gotten a lot better, but believe you me, when you see the fight, I could definitely hurt this guy, Crawford, 100%. This is the biggest test. This is the fight that the fans need at this time with what's going on in the world, said Kell Brook. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. That's Kell Brook. He's saying he can definitely hurt him. He said he wants the big fights. He said, I have to settle for Terrence Crawford. Listen, I'm ready. I'm ready. And I always come to bring it. So he thinks he can hurt Terrence Crawford. Listen, I'm torn about this fight because boxing is fickle. Here's my thing. I think Kell Brook, if he's the Kell Brook of old, he could definitely hurt Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, I thought, got dropped in his last fight, even though they didn't score it as an actual knockdown. Mean Machine definitely knocked him down. So I do believe that. Gamboa, it was at 35, and he hurt Crawford, so it's definitely possible. I don't know how bad, but I believe De'Aaron Jean hurt Crawford. I think it was the first round. Again, take that with a grain of salt. There's different severities of being hurt. He definitely caught his attention. So Kell Brook, being a big welterweight, a guy with experience at 150 plus and 160, fighting Golovkin, held his own. At his best, he definitely can hurt somebody. But is he at his best? So that, this is, I guess, why you got to watch the fight. Because boxing, for the most part, what you've been seeing from the fighter is what you get. And for me, Kell Brook, he's saying the right things, but he's been fighting off and on. Activity hasn't been high, and his last big names were a pair of losses to Golovkin. Yeah, no, guys, hey Max, every tick punch is nothing. Right? And then back-to-back losses with Errol Spence. Both of his eyes were like basically shattered, his left and right orbital, So it sounds good, but he's just gonna have to saddle up and produce kind of like a vintage performance, because he's beaten Rabchenko and Mark DeLuca and Zarafa, but he looked very bad. If you go watch the Michael Zarafa fight, who Peter Quillin knocked out, cold, and I think he was on a stretcher after the Quillin fight. And Jeff Horn also recently stopped. Kell Brook struggled with him, so he does look like he's in shape. I want to believe him. I like Kell Brook, basically. I like him. I like the energy, but he hasn't been at welterweight since 2017. So for me, I do have questions. But if it is the Kell Brook of old and he knows how important this is, you've seen it, where guys like Povetkin's clearly not in his prime, but he just knocked out a Dillian White. Difference being, Terrence Crawford, per his division, is no Dillian White. He's at the top of his game. You know what I'm saying? Dillian White, there was still stuff to prove. And, we didn't know. He's never been a champion. Crawford's been a multiple-time champion, undisputed champion, etc. So we're talking about different things. So could be an interesting fight. I don't know how the fans are going to receive it. Stylistically, I would put a fight like this. It's a pandemic. To me, this is kind of like Devin Haney versus Gamboa. Very similar type of fight. It's not the best fight. That's not the number one person that people want to see Devin Haney fight, in my opinion. But it's still, stylistically cool, at least cool enough. But it's just not the all-star big name, both guys coming off of crazy wins. Like, those fights are more reserved for Charlo Rosario, Charlo Derevchenko, Errol and Danny Garcia. Both of those, all those three fights I just named, those guys are coming off of brilliant performances and wins. Or Teofimo versus Vasily Lomachenko. They both have been looking, good or solid, so that's striking while the iron's hot. Kell Brook, yeah, I understand he has wins, but he didn't have, like, Teofimo knocked out Richard Commey, made him do the stanky leg, right, in a few rounds. So that's his best career performance and the performance that made him a champion. Now he's fighting Lomachenko, who's coming off of Luke Campbell, gold medalist. He hurt Luke Campbell. They hurt each other, but, Luke Campbell definitely got hurt in that fight too. So, it's stylistically cool. I can't say nothing else. Terrence Crawford, he's at the top of his game. Interesting because of the Mean Machine fight. He looked like, he had some struggle in the early rounds, but he put it together and figured it out. Kell Brook, you probably have less mistakes to make against someone like him. You can't be stubborn and stay a southpaw when you should be an ortho, things like that, because he's more experienced than Mean Machine at the pro level, being in with Errol's and Golovkin. So mixed bag, mixed kind of feelings about that particular fight. But I do think Kell Brook, he's strong enough to hurt Terrence Crawford. It's just he has to be able to pull the trigger and get off. And, with the recent performances and lack of activity, I don't know. I don't know if he's just doing this and talking it up, because every fighter's going to talk it up and, make it sound like they can win or in their heart want to win. But it's what I've seen from Kell Brook. I haven't seen what's his last brilliant win? Sean Porter? That was in 2013 or something. You know what I mean? So I can't think of Kell Brook's last glorious win. Not like, oh, he did good versus Golovkin, or, oh, he did good in the early rounds versus Errol. I'm talking about an actual victory that meant something. You know what I mean? So since he hasn't had that, I don't know how to really perceive this, but especially since he has eye injuries and stuff like that. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. It's a mixed bag for me. Let me know how you feel. Also, become a YouTube channel member or a Patreon. ESPN Plus link is also in the description of all of my videos. They got some cool documentaries coming up and different forms of entertainment for you guys for all your sports needs. It does help the channel continue to grow. Holla at them links. Let me know what you guys think. Can Kell Brook at this point of his career hurt a guy like Bud Crawford, phenomenal fighter from Omaha, Nebraska? Holla. Let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next videos, Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.